Thank you everybody for coming, and just to repeat kind of what we put in the email is that it's been a while since we've seen this level of activity of home building out to Powderhorn, and we just wanted to really get everybody together. We work very closely in the Powderhorn real estate realty office / information center. Down at the entrance with the design review committee, and just had a lot of questions. We've actually had a couple of builders get off to kind of a bumpy start or whatever, and we just had this idea that it'd be really good to just get everybody together, and then even for you homeowners and members that live here, just to kind of give you a little bit of an opportunity to hear what's going on as far as what the design review committee's up to, and just keep everybody up to date. It's your community, and we just want to keep everybody up to date at what's going on. So some real quick introductions. I'm Scott Sheehan, and I'm the sales manager at Powderhorn Realty. I'm also project managing some homes that are being built at the deck homes down at the Point on behalf of the developer family. Also in attendance from Powderhorn Realty, Judy Ford. Many of you, probably everybody knows Judy and Karen Chase and Ann Zimmerscheid. Ann's comfortably sitting down. Also in attendance, some Robbie Carney is our general manager at the Clubhouse. Mark Jensick, comfortably in the back. Many of you know. If you don't know, he's runs this place as far as operations and the grounds and all of that stuff. And Bill Rohrbaugh. And most of you know Bill, but if you don't, Bill is part of the design review committee and is probably the guy you most want to hear from this evening, so I will try to keep my part short. Any questions before we get started? So after I go through a little bit of what I just did in a couple of slides to give a quick update of what's going on at the Powderhorn, Robbie's just going to walk through the memberships. I think it's very valuable, especially for you builders that are in here. You're going to be out on the job site. People are going to drive up. They're going to want to know what you're up to. They're going to want to buy your house, and they may have some questions on membership. And oftentimes the builders sell these houses as much as, if not more than, us real estate agents, as you builders will probably attest to more so. And it'd be really good for you guys to have a quick update on the memberships. And then Bill will get up. As I don't know if most of you know, but Sheridan annually is named a best small town in America, and the Powderhorn is Sheridan's premier community. I am biased, but I think that most people would agree as well. And with all of that, we still have some spectacular affordable lots for your dream home, spec home builders, and what we really want to talk about and why we wanted to bring people here tonight is some of the misconceptions about the difficulty of building at the Powderhorn. And it really can be made simple, as Mr. Carlton can attest to, I'm sure. Powderhorn is the hottest subdivision in Sheridan for lot sales. There's been 60 lots purchased in the last 3 years, and that's been a mix of folks buying for custom homes, builder spec homes, which is a very hot activity right now, the developer-owned properties building spec homes like we're doing at the deck homes, what Scotty's doing over here with one of his. And then a lot of people just buy property for view protection. When they see all these homes going up, it drives a few sales on view protection, and other people just buying for investment when they see the activity going on. The average lot out here is about 20,000 square feet. If you compare that to what's in town, it's probably about twice.
I'm going to go behind.
Go ahead.
That's okay.
Sure.
Hello, everyone.
So that's about twice of what's available currently in town. Other than obviously ranch and big ranch land. And the average selling price right now is at about $4 a square foot, which makes it about a 2 to 3 times the value of really any lot in Sheridan, which the home builders that are out here, that's what they know, and that's why they're here. So a little bit on the HOA fees. And again, for the benefit of those who get to talk to people who don't know, It's $133 a month. It starts out at $75 when you buy a lot, and that's what you pay basically with no home. And then once you put a home on the property, it goes up another $58 a month, which gets you your sewer and trash. We have our own sewer system, as many of you know. And all you want irrigation water for what works out to be about $27 a month. And as Ann Zimmerscheid will attest, people in town can spend up to $300 a month as opposed to $320 a year. But Bruce is probably going to be pulling some of them plants this year because I think he's getting sick of paying for all that water. And what do you get for all that? Well, like I say, a spectacular property, 900 acres, Little Goose Creek, nature trails, everything that everybody knows, protected natural habitat, trout stop ponds, and really, you know, and I know it doesn't feel that way, and I know we've had this conversation about the roads, but they really are. I mean, if you drove down into Sheridan this winter, and you went back on some of those back roads over there, ruts and snow and whatever, Mark's team really does an amazing job of maintaining the roads out here. And 5 o'clock in the morning after the night after it snows, and you know, the guys are out there cleaning them up. Now the roads are aged, but Bill probably has a little bit of information on that too. But I mean, it's a 20-year development, and there's continual road improvement going into making it nice around here. We offer 3 low maintenance areas out here where the HOA fee gets to be $250 at the most at the cottages, deck homes at the point, and then $300 which is in the meadows, and that's because they've got some paint that goes on with the exteriors up there. So the whole idea there is you use the clubs and we'll use the shovels. But when you think about that, that's $133. So on a deck home or a cottage or whatever, you're paying another $117, and it's all in at $250, which includes that first $133. So, and what do you get for all that? Obviously, you get the roads, the common grounds, the amenities, and keeping the place looking great. Once you add a home, you get your sewer. That costs you $35 in your trash. And then the sub-HOAs get all of the above, plus they get their snow removal and landscaping, and like I said, in the meadows, they get exterior maintenance. Now, if you are in the main HOA and you want snow removal, I think, Mark, it's available upon request, and you can actually purchase that service for snow removal and landscaping services and anything you want, right? And that's Mark Jensick. So that's, pretty much me, a little bit on the clubhouse. I mean, one of the things that when I go around town, it's just amazing to me. In fact, I was talking, to Bruce about this just about a month and a half ago. You do not have to be a member to own property at the Powderhorn. Now, it'd be great someday that we were just filled up, and to live out here, you had to be a member in a nice big community. But there's a lot of people that don't understand that you can actually live out here, and you don't have to be a member of the club. Vice versa, you don't have to own property out here to be a member. I just actually had a conversation with somebody in town just last week. So we try to keep repeating this message over and over again for people to hear it and hopefully repeat it, because it's something I think that a lot of people don't yet quite understand. Being a private club doesn't mean it's a private community. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Carney.
And I'm going to give you all the short version. I do see a lot of familiar faces in the room, which is fantastic. I also see a lot of unfamiliar faces. So we're going to go through our membership offerings that we have here at the club. As you all know, the club turned private April 1 of 2015. The Scott family, the ownership group, engaged in a relationship with Troon Golf, which is based out of Scottsdale, on December 1, 2015, which is where I enter the picture. I moved here from Nashville. They wanted to have us kind of facilitate that transition. And I get asked all the time, what is Troon and what is Troon Privé? Well, Troon is kind of the flagship, and Troon Privé is basically a subsidiary underneath that. And Troon is headquartered in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're the world's largest third-party management golf company with more than 280 courses in 36 states and 32 countries. I was at our conference last week, and they're projecting by the end of 2018 to have 400 golf courses. So the growth is exponential. I'll get into it in just a second. Membership does have its benefits. Our members do get reciprocal playing privileges at all of our other properties. And then Troon Privé is the private sector, which manages 77 private clubs at this point. Again, in the last 8 or 9 years, we've seen exponential growth on the private side. I started out daily fee resort guy, which is Troon Golf, and then Troon Privé is Troon, it was the private side. It's one of those things, private clubs, especially since I guess the downturn in 2008, they've slowly realized that their reluctance to change, and you have boards that have always done it this way. They're realizing that way no longer works, and the business has evolved, and that's really the way that they've engaged relationships with us, and we've really been able to help not only turn around their club, but kind of bring a little more hospitable approach to the operation. And like I said, it's word of mouth, but it's snowballing, and the momentum is it's not even gradual. It's at an all-time high, which is fantastic. We migrated our categories to 5 membership categories when we went private. So we have a premium golf membership, which a lot of people tend to call family, but it's really just a premium golf. And I'll get into detail here what all that entails here shortly. We have an individual golf, a young family golf, or any individuals. Both dependents have to be under the age of 39 and younger, or under 40, 39 and 364 days. We have a social recreation membership and then a social clubhouse. Those fees are accurate. I get asked this all the time, are guests allowed? The answer is absolutely. Let's say Mr. and Mrs. Mackey are out of town and they've got a daughter-in-law or a son that's traveling in town. Well, they can come up to the club. All they got to do is call myself, Todd, our food and beverage director, anybody, and then basically we'll treat them as an unaccompanied guest. So that's a privilege as a member. You don't have to be here to go ahead and share those privileges with somebody that's passing through, which is nice. As far as you can accompany a guest any number of times throughout the year in the restaurant, it is limited to the same individual at 5 times per year for golf. And we only do that because we're protecting our golf members' dues. You could have somebody that could manipulate the system and play a lot of golf in the season, and so at the end of the day we're protecting that for our members. The Troon Privé Privilege Program, so this is reserved for all of our premium golf members. They get reciprocal privileges at all of our private facilities throughout the world. We have a bunch of members, snowbirds, that live down in Southern California in Phoenix, Scottsdale area, Blackstone Country Club, which had an initiation fee 8 years ago, $400,000. Well, our members are playing it for $25 a piece. And then likewise, it's reciprocal. Their members can come up here and we charge them $25. The rates fluctuate based on volume and time of year, but it's anywhere between $20 and $45. I don't think I've seen one higher than $45, and that was at Ballin Isles in South Florida at West Palm Beach, which is a phenomenal club. You get a 30-day booking window. You can bring guests as well. So let's say you're a premium golf member here at the club, and you're traveling to see family wherever the destination may be. Well, you as the member will get that reciprocal cart fee, but you can also bring your guest, whether it's your in-laws, family, and what they pay is the member accompanied guest rate for that club. So for here, our member accompanied guest rate is 100. It varies by club. There's no standardization there, but it is a nice privilege to have, obviously. You get to play up to 6 rounds annually at participating clubs. I can tell you they don't monitor that except for the areas where we have cluster markets in Phoenix, Scottsdale, where every other golf course is a Troon facility. They do that for obvious reasons, because you could have one person that would have basically 8 to 12 memberships at a private club in the area, so they do monitor that. Here, I can tell you our approach is we welcome anybody up with open arms. We want to showcase your club to our members. We want them to go back to their club and say, you guys got to go up to Sheridan. It's a beautiful place. You wouldn't believe the community, the golf course, the amenities and whatnot. The Troon Advantage program is very similar, except it's applicable to our daily fee resort properties. You want to go down to San Antonio and play La Cantera, things of that nature. You roughly get 40 to 50% off the rack rates. So if it's $200, you can do the math that you're going to pay around $100, $110 to play golf. And again, that's just one thing that our members don't pay anything additional for. I mean, that's just a value add to their membership and one of the perks of being a member at a Troon Privé club. The Powderhorn, as Scott alluded to earlier, it's more than just golf. You got stock ponds in the community. We do host wedding and banquets. Our wedding event lawn is actually right out that window there across the bridge. We do a lot of charity fundraisers. I did the math last year on some of the events that we did, and I think we raised 1.3. I shouldn't say we. The events that we hosted raised $1.3 million. So just to have a part and play a part in their special day is phenomenal. And obviously we've got a lot of member social events that we host here as well. We do a member appreciation month in the fall. We do a member mixer last year it was end of May. This year it's the first weekend in June. All our snowbirds come back, and it'll kind of ingratiate them and welcome them back to the club. But it also gets all our new members into the club, so we can really create that culture of hospitality that we're looking for. Types of social events, just touched on it: member mixer, toddler day, glow golf, paint and sip, classes, movie night, member appreciation month, turkey trot, which we were going to try last year for the first time. Unfortunately, we got snowed in. Long-term vision, through our relationship with Troon, we hope to continue to expand upon the solid foundation and the reputation the Powderhorn has established to date. We all have one common goal, which is to make the Powderhorn the top golfing community in Rocky Mountain West. And just kind of going back, circling back to Troon and kind of what the pillars are of our company, it all revolves around quality of service and quality of product, whether it's your golf course or the food coming out of your kitchen. That's really what sets us apart. I used to, our staff, and we've done a really good job of creating that culture of hospitality here. You know, in a club environment, to be successful, you have to be warm and welcoming. We've all been to private facilities where you don't necessarily feel welcome. Well, here our staff's greeting you when you walk through the door. Hopefully they know your first name. If they don't, they're going to over time. But that's really what it's all about. You know, we've kind of, I don't want to say dressed down that and made it less formal, but at the end of the day, it's more welcoming to our membership, and that's the goal. We want them to feel welcome. This is their club. And we treat it as that, to be honest with you. Does anybody have any questions? Like I said, that was a short version. I do have some membership packets on the table there if you have any questions. Of course, you can call our membership director, Taylor Green, or myself at any time. We're here quite a bit, so we're more than happy to, I do see quite a few non-members in the room, so if you have any questions or anything or at any time, don't hesitate to call us. It does have our contact information in there as well. And I'm on borrowed time because everybody's here for Mr. Rohrbaugh. And thank you.
I'm dressed this way because I just came off the golf course, and if we live out here, which I do, we certainly take advantage of it. I play with a number of you people in here that I see. Just a little basic background for myself. My wife and I bought a lot here in 2005. We bought a lot from Ann Zimmerscheid. We liked it so much, and we decided this was a great place for us to retire. We built a home, and we moved up here January 1st of 2008. So we're 9 years into living at the Powderhorn in northern Wyoming. And we both, my wife and I both say we shudder to think where we would be if we hadn't have come up here. We found this, not only do we enjoy this area, the town of Sheridan, and more than anything is the people that we have met here and the friends that we have made. It's just a great place to live. One of the things that I decided to do, I got involved with the Homeowners Association, was on the board there for 3 years. After my term was up, there was an opening in the Design Review Committee, and I felt at that time I just wanted to stay involved with what's going on at the Powderhorn, and now I ended up as chairman. I'm still not sure how that happened, but I'm chairman now, and it's been fun the last 3 years. We've been so busy with the fall off of the market in the 2008, 2009, 10. We were lucky if 4 or 5 houses a year were built, and I think in the last 3 years we're up to over 40 to 50 homes have been built here in the last 3 years. I'm going to go through this very quickly, but again, we do have the handouts that you can take, and particularly for you real estate agents in the room that want to learn about what it takes here. And I've heard that well, the Powderhorn, they've got too many rules and it's tough to build out here, and that, quite frankly, that's just not true. We do have the rules that we do have here are to protect the investments of the people that buy land and build homes out here. And that's exactly what they're designed for, and that's what they do. Very quickly, the process starts with Steve Abel, who is an architect with Abel and Malone here in town, is our if you will, our on-staff architect. He is the gentleman who will review the plans, and once he starts doing that, you find out as a homeowner how little you know about these things. Talks about drainage, talks about different areas within the plans of the home that you need to know, and particularly your builder needs to know. It's a process that doesn't take very long, and I'll say in the almost 4 years I've been on the DRC, we've had very little problems with plans from builders. Certain things where they have to make small adjustments, but nothing major like this house won't work, you have to start over. That just does not happen. We look at the plans for the building setbacks to make sure that the plans are set back as required in our covenants, set back from certain areas of the road. They can only be, your house can't be within, say, 20 feet on the front and the back, and on some lots 10 on the side. I'm using this as a generality. What does that do? Well, we have a number of different lots out here that if you're familiar with it, we've got some pretty odd shaped lots out here. And it really makes it interesting when people try to design homes to fit on those odd-shaped lots, doesn't it, Doug? And some of them are pretty crazy, and sometimes you just can't fit the particular properties on that lot without having an issue with setbacks. And then at time we will talk with the owner builder, and we do offer variances where you may get, let's say, an eve of a house that sits over the setback maybe a foot or two. You think about it, it's not very much, but that's what we do as the design review committee. Depending on the situation, we will issue those variances, and we've issued a lot of those over the years, just to make them fit on the individual lots here that are not. The one thing we try to stay away from, you go into particularly major cities, you'll see a subdivision and it's lot after lot after lot after lot, and the houses look the same. One of the things that we really like about here is the uniqueness that we have in the different homes that have been built here. And I think that's one of the things all the residents here take pride in the Powderhorn, is how unique we are in the different homes that have been built here and will continue to be. My information's up there. Yes, I'm still on AOL. I don't know how many times I get asked that. And I got chastised for that last night by somebody, and I think we might be changing that, but for right now, that still works. We do, when you do hook up, we have a one-time tap fee prior to construction. That is required to be paid by your contractor or the home builder. It's $6,000, which is exactly what the tap fee is in the county and in the city. It's the same amount of money, and that has to be paid before construction can commence. And that tap, once it's installed, Mark, you and your staff have to inspect that to make sure it's hooked up correctly, not leaking. Isn't that right?
We generally inspecting to make sure the tap we gave you is clear to the main line, so we know your sewer line's gonna work.
And that's real important. And as Scott touched on, we have our own wastewater treatment plant here. We as owners and we as the homeowners association control that. We run it. It's still owned by the developer, but and they still the employees work for them. But basically, we as the homeowners pay for that, and it's very, very efficient. And someday the sewer systems from Sheridan County may get out here, but we're not going to see that in the foreseeable future. We don't think so. That's obviously the sewer system's a very important part. Is if there's anything you want to not work, it's your sewer system. So that's why this tap fee is so important. But that is required up front. Normally, what will happen? Somebody wants to build a home, they'll either call, mostly they'll get in touch with Steve Abel, our architect. We'll set a time up to meet with you as the owner, and I see several of you that I've met with over the years, and with your plans, and we meet at the lot before you start construction. And how do you move this? How do I do that? See, that's why I'm on AOL. I don't have to go to the next slide. You have an initial meeting with Steve, with your builder, with you if you like. We look at and Mark Jensick is also at that meeting. We look at the contours of the lot, talk about the drainage, what the natural drainage, which way it flows in a particular lot, and what would be best for you. And so it also for your neighbors, so that your drainage in your lot wouldn't happen to go onto the abutting lot owners. In the handouts, you'll see a list that you'll get at the time that we have the initial meeting at your lot. It explains what the design review committee is asking of you. The pre-design conference is what I'm talking to between the DRC, the owner, Mark, myself. It'll also give you the pre-submittal regarding your preliminary design. We want to see the plans for your homes, and when we will give preliminary approval to start construction, particularly when we get to October, November, people will come and say, we'd really like to get going. We want to get the foundation in before the real winter weather hits. And so sometimes in situations like that, we want everybody to understand we're here to promote more building, and we want to make this as seamless as possible for you as homeowners / builders. And so if you want to get going and get that foundation in before the weather turns cold, we want to work with you to get that done. So we may let you slide on some of the things that we require at that time of year. For instance, we like to see samples of the siding. We like to see samples of your door. We like to see what type of paint you're going to use. And the reason we ask for this, and we like to see actual physical sample of the stone. We've had where in prior years, they brought in, they make a copy off the internet, and I'm going to do this color, and here's what my stone's going to be. And we've approved some of that, and then when they actually put it up, it's not anything like what we approved. So we've gotten a little tough in that regard. We want to see a sample of your stone. We want to see a sample of your paint. We want to see the material you're using for your garage door. And I will tell you 99.9 times that all gets approved. Isn't that right, Doug? Would you agree with that? Thank you. A good builder sitting back here. So that's in the preliminary design submittal. The final design submittal, our committee sits down, looks at everything that you have supplied. We've got your plans. They meet all the criteria. We've got your samples of what you're going to use on the outside of the house, and you'll get an email. It goes to you and also goes to your builder from Steve Abel. Go ahead, fire away, start building. And then through that, you won't hear from us through the course of building unless you come to us for some changes that you decide that you might want to make. If there's something that's not in the original set of plans, those we need to see and we need to approve, and that's happened. The Pelzers, you guys made some changes on your beautiful home that they built. And that happens because you get going through the course and you say, well, I don't want to do this, or maybe there's a financial reason you want to change something. That's fine, but we need to look at that. We need to make sure that we have that in the file that we've approved that. Very simple. And it's after the final design review, the commencement of construction, and as I said, the changes of construction. And Scott, I didn't see what you did to change this thing. I was talking. Pardon me?
Just a down arrow. Bottom right.
Right there? Okay. That's real quick and in a nutshell, but we try to keep it as simple and basic as we can. The reason that we want to see actual physical materials, is, like I said, is because we've been led down that path a time or two, and it really didn't turn out to exactly what we thought it was going to be. So we've become pretty stringent on that requirement. And I've been asked by people over the years, how did you allow that house out there? I mean, I don't really like that house. Well, you may not like that house, but the person that's building it and is going to live in it really likes it. And in our covenants, which is the document that we have to live by, it allows certain things. You cannot, as an example, you can't use primary colors, red, green, blue. Most of the colors that you're allowed to use are more earth tone, if you will. But what you may like and what I may like are sometimes two different things. So with that, that's one of the reasons you get the disparity of the looks of some houses, and that's what makes this place so unique. We have some where we've had people that have put sheds in their backyard. We've got another one that we're looking at now that somebody in their landscaping plan wants to build a shed. And then, how did you allow a shed? The covenants will allow it. However, that shed has to match the house exactly, because that's what our covenants say. So I guess it's what we do. We make our decisions based on what is submitted by people. It's not done at the whim of individual people. It's all based on what our buildings standards say, which are over here and also on our website, and also what our covenants. Our job is to enforce our covenants to make sure that when a new home goes up, that it is in total compliance. And if you drive around here, if you're not familiar, you've seen, we have some, a couple, I'll just leave it at that. It's kind of amazing that they did get approved, but why did they get approved? Because they fell in line with what the covenant said. We're here to help you. We want to see more homes built out here. We want more neighbors here. And what we've seen in the last 3 years is, I think we're all surprised. The sales office, I think you guys are even surprised at the amount of activity we've had. But we're not here to hinder building. We also want to help. We meet once a month, the second Monday of every month. If there's a situation where a builder has come to us and said, you know, if we can, we don't want to wait another month for approval. Any chance you can call a special meeting to look at our plans so we can get approval and we can get get more, and we've done that. In fact, when it was real busy, we were holding 2 meetings a month for several months in a row, and that's all based on demand. It's if you come into us and you come on the 10th of the month and we're not meeting till the following, the 8th, and say we really need to get started. We've got our construction financing set. We need to get going. We're not going to stick our head in the sand and say, no, you've got to wait another month. You can't do anything. We want to accommodate you. And I think if you take away and look at the checklist that's there, you'll see that we are we're available. We just want to see more homes being built out here. I want to touch on a couple things that were said as far as the cost. We pay $320 a year for irrigation water here. And once the golf course gets fired up, they fire up the irrigation and get the golf course up and running. It kind of works up the hill. Isn't that right, Mark, to the different homes? And I think it drives Mark a little crazy, but you could water 6 hours a day, every day, all summer. It's still going to cost you $320 a year. It's the best deal in the world. And Mark's comments to us in our meetings, he says, boy, there sure are a lot of green lawns out here. And yes, there are, because most of us, and we take pride in our lawns as we do in our properties here. They got a crack group of landscaping. If you so choose, you don't want to do your own landscaping, there's a real good group here led by Ryan Rankin that do a great job. They'll come by once a week for a fee. In the winter, they'll do your driveways, they'll clear your driveways, they'll clear your porches of snow if you so choose. That's a little extra, but they are, when Scott said they're out at 5 in the morning in the winter, I think those of you that live here, you've heard them at 5 in the morning. The snow plows are out there. These guys do a great job. Any questions? And I know there's some of you, I see a number of you that are homeowners that have gone through this process that I've just described. And hopefully you're not mad at us and that's why you're here. But I'll start with you and then give, yes ma'am.
Okay. If you were to purchase 2 lots and you build your home on 1 lot, is it legal to put a workshop on the 2nd lot, providing it matched the home?
The way you describe, everybody hear her question? The answer to that,
Bill, why don't you repeat the
all right, her question was, you own 1 lot, you build a house on it, you own the lot next to it. She's asking if you can put a workshop or a garage as a standalone on that 2nd lot that's right next to it. The answer to that is no, you cannot. But there is an answer for that, and which a number of people have done over the years, is you can go to the county and you can apply for what they call a minor subdivision. And what that means is you've got 2 lots like this, and what you're doing is you're changing the actual plat map that's recorded at the county, and you're making those 2 lots into 1 lot, okay? And if you were to do that, then that is allowed. If you have 1 big lot and your house sits on it, you want to put up a garage, or as you call it, a workshop, and it's on the 1 lot, you can do that. There are several of them out here.
But then it would have to match
It has to match.
It's going to be putting up a steel building.
No, you can't put up for lack of a better term, a steel shed. And that's a good question. And she said it has to match. That also has to go through the design review committee for approval, and it has to match exactly. There's 1 house that's at the end of the cul-de-sac here. It's out on the highway. It's a big house, and he's got a big, almost looks like a barn, but a beautiful home. And if you see it there, and you'll see his matches, that's all 1 lot in that case, but it matches exactly, and it turned out really nice. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, do you require any kind of erosion control in case someone brings in backfill to lift the elevation of a lot? Because I've got a lot next to me that's been built and they raised the lot level, and I've got backfill eroding onto my lot from all the snow and the rain and stuff. Because there was no erosion control put up along my lot line, so I'm getting all that eroding on my lot.
You know, as far as erosion control, we really don't. We require, as you'll see in the packets, we require a soils report, and the soils report prior to building for that. But there's As far as erosion control, Mark, can you jump in on this? We've had certain situations where somebody may build on a lot and there's an issue with either erosion or draining, and it's up to that owner has to fix that and make sure that and if it's going to drain, it's either going to drain to the back of the lot or down to the street.
They
But
brought in so much backfill that it's really built up about 3 feet right up to my lot line. So it's just all eroding. You see it out there on the clean circle.
I think all the contractors, if I was a contractor, I would probably know to do that. And I'll address with the contractor building that house
I
of
think
why something.
Ruby's did the,
Yeah, I'll address, we trust, I don't oversee contractors, I'm not skilled enough to do that. I'm assuming the contractors who build out here are professional enough that if they're gonna put dirt onto their neighbor's lot, they would control it.
I'm surprised that the DRC actually approved that much fill to be brought into that lot and built up right against my lot line.
I believe there's gonna be a wall. And
Yeah,
there are
and
other,
is there
which lot is this? Tell me again.
lot 13 on the Grove, Killeen Circle?
it's gotta be spec.
Oh, Scott. Okay.
No, I know there's a wall in the landscape plan. Could of the wall been built? We have another person building out here on the pond who is in the same boat. He's got a lot that is gonna impact his neighbors. He's actually gonna put his wall up first and then build his house. And I'm sorry that didn't happen in yours, but I think as we've gone farther and farther along, we're getting smarter, better, but along the way you learn lessons that you obviously know the next time to ask for.
Yeah, because my landscaping rock is all covered up in aluminum border there.
I know that'll be remediated and not at your
It's
expense.
just a mess.
Yeah, so I know that'll be taken care of and it'll be addressed.
I'm just curious how that got by the review committee.
Well, I think in that situation on that property, that wasn't an issue. That was not even brought up at that time because the drainage was supposed to go a certain way and the builder said the drainage will go that way. We will build it and the drainage will go the way that you're recommending. So this is something that he's done above and beyond our approval, which unfortunately does happen on occasion. Because we don't, like Mark said, we're not builders. So there's a huge trust factor with our builders out here on what they do. And when they say, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we approve, again, 99% of the time that's what happens. But you've got a situation that has to be dealt with and has to be corrected.
Yeah,
And
actually one corner of the house, it's really close, 8 feet, or maybe maybe within 6 feet of my lot line. So possibly a hard rain, you're going to get runoff. It's going to possibly go into my lot.
I know they've got, say they'll all,
Because there's no gutters planned.
but they have drainage planned next to the house.
But as the water runs off, there's one corner of that house that's within 6 to 8 feet or something of my lot line.
I think what we need to do is
That-
just, I'll come down and visit you and then I'll take it to the contractor. And that way we just don't take everybody's time for one house.
And one more question.
Yes.
The house, the home design plans and the landscape plans kept out here at the power home, or they're at the architect's office?
they're kept at the operations center and the architect also has a copy. So,
If a house
Yeah.
is under construction, I don't have it until the houses are done, then the architect
The-
will clean his office out once a project's done and they store it down.
and we have archives at the operations center.
I'm real interested
Yeah.
in the landscaping plan for that lot, if there is one.
I'll get you.
Are you Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Okay. And speaking of landscaping plan also, that's one that we will, through the initial approval process, we will defer a landscaping plan because the covenants say, once you finish the home, you've got 1 year to complete your landscaping plan. And we'd like to see it as soon as possible so people can get started. I've got one to look at right now. What we look at on the landscaping plans, because the covenants require this, is we're not concerned really what kind of bushes you're going to put. We like to see lawn, and most everybody does that. The key is view corridors and big trees. We've had some come through and we'll look at it on a lot and they want to put up some big aspens, or they want to put up some big blue spruces, and we know how big they get, and those grow to full size, they're going to block their neighbor's view. And those we'll ask them to either take that out or move them to a different location. Because that's real important with the different tiers of lots we have out here, that when people do landscape, that they're not blocking views from any of their neighbors. So, but that's an interesting situation, and that will be looked at on its own merit, and we'll definitely take care of that.
I spent a lot of time working within the regulations.
Oh, I know, and your house has been perfect for it. So, yeah, Mr. Madison.
I have a question about how long can a container stay on the lot after construction? We got a container that's been out there
Right down the road from you.
for 2 years.
I know that, and part of that was when, because he's another guy that he's talking about who did the same thing with the lots. He wanted to add like a big garage onto it, so he went in, subdivided it, became one lot, and then he put a breezeway. It turned out nice. But frankly, I agree with you. It's time for that to go because his work of improvement is done. So we will have a conversation with him about that. And it should be gone. You're right. So we try to get to everything. Sometimes things like that, and I don't know why he still has it there, because he's completed his garage and it's been finished for a time now. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What's the minimum square footage for like a one-level home?
1,500 square feet is the minimum for even a it can be 2 levels and be 1,500. That's in the covenants. And I think the smallest house that we've approved is probably one that's under construction now that's about 1,670. It's probably 70% completed. But it fits on this small lot right on the golf course, right by what we call the bird sanctuary. And I think that's a perfect size house for that particular lot. Scott.
Is it A or B? Or both? You can be smaller, but in area A or B. And you take, yeah. There are a couple of areas, where we build the cluster housing, area A and area B in particular. We have to double check it where it does call out.
But the covenants do require, you're going to build a single-family home, not a cluster home, a single-family. Minimum square footage is 1,500 square feet. I remember when I saw that, and I thought, God, that's awful small. But you drive around here and look at some of the lots. And, we've got some huge lots out here, and we've got some that are just designed for something just like that. And this particular house, even that small, fits that lot perfectly. And once it's done and landscaped, it's going to be a real asset to the community. It's going to be it is a nice looking house now, and it's going to fit. So 1,500 is the minimum. Any other questions or comments? Mike, anything? Okay. I hope, does that help you as real estate agents? Does that help you guys a little bit with know what's going on out here? We want, I think one of the things that we found when we first moved here is, they said, well, the Powder has a lot of rules. Where I came from in a gated community in a big city, these aren't rules. You want to see some rules, I'll show you rules. But the reason for them is to keep up the integrity of the development. We don't want people changing out a short block in their driveway, or back up with 8 campers in the road. And there's a reason for that. This is the type of subdivision that we have, and this is what we want here, and the type of development. And we've had some issues with some RVs that the homeowners association has dealt with, and they dealt with them well, because that's people that move in here don't want that. We don't want that in this type of subdivision. Does that make any sense? It's kind of snooty, but that's one of the reasons we all live here, is because we do have rules like that. But it's for the benefit of your neighbors. So, any other questions or comments?
I have one more on behalf of Mr. Rohrbaugh. I can tell you personally, just working with him and having to work through a couple of situations with people in the process of building a house or a shed. These guys are great. They are volunteers. Steve Abel actually does have a full-time job or whatever, so they have these once a month meetings or whatever, and they will call a special meeting if your situation demands it. more importantly, you know, if you follow the sheet that they give you, and you follow the process as they ask you to do it, deliver the information that do. I think, Doug, you said you had one meeting, you were one and done, and you guys were, you know, on your way. So they're open to, if you got questions along the way, you know that they're gonna be meeting about your particular house or your particular design, and it's coming up in 2 weeks. You know, just make sure you're getting everything to them so they have enough time to review it before they go into the meeting, and you'll find that the process will work very quickly.
Our design committee is 5 people. Myself, homeowner here, 2 other homeowners that live here, Mark Jensick and Steve Abel, our architect. That's our, so it's not like we're sitting in front of a panel. There's just 5 of us. And we've had it, we say, well, I really don't like the style of that house. And another one say, well, you know what, I do. But it's all personal preference. And I know sometimes the appraisers have a hell of a time out here because everything's so different on trying to get good appraisals. But that's one of the things that makes the Powderhorn so unique is the different homes out here.
As you're going through the process, again, the real estate / information center, we're always open because these guys are volunteers, but we keep all this information, you know, at the office down there, and you know, come on by. We're there 6 days a week this time of year. Moving to 7 here probably in, you know, June or something like that, but we're there typically all the time. Coffee's on, the chocolates are there, water. Come in, send a fax. We actually do have people come in and still send faxes. So, Judy?
What day and time does the design review meet?
The design review committee meets the 2nd Monday of every month. Normally, we take submissions from you or your builder. Normally, we don't have owner builders or the people that come to the meetings. On certain occasions, with certain situations, we've made exceptions for that, haven't we, Mrs. Pelzer? And you guys, you both had situations, unique situations, and they've come to us, and hopefully we dealt with them all for you people. So as a rule, the meetings are just for us to look over the plans. Once we make a decision, you'll get an email, and your builder gets an email back that same day. Because we don't want to, last thing we want to do is hold anybody up. So that's it in a nutshell, basically. But I urge you all, if you're interested in looking at this, take one of our packets. You'll see that it'll give you information from the prior screen. I'm not going to attempt to make it go back. But you'll see the list that you get when we first start your project on what's expected at different points. In different points of your construction. And I think Mr. Carlton here has built 3 homes out here now, and I think it's gone, well, with you it's gone very smoothly, and I think because you get us what we asked for, and it's worked really well for you.
Bill won't, of course Bill won't say it, but it's true. We have homes going in 4 different HOA communities right now. This design review committee is the best. They're fair, they're efficient, they're first class.
We just want people to move in here, build nice homes, and be happy about it, and find that the process is not tedious and it's not tasking, and think that, well, the Powderhorn has all these rules. And we do have some, but it's really not that tough. I remember when we went through it a number of years ago, and it wasn't bad at all. And we just take tremendous pride in living here. We love living here. We take pride in the community. And that's what motivates us. It sure as hell isn't the pay. But that's all I have to say. Anything else?
And be mindful of your neighbors.
Just like anywhere
No,
else.
I think
Yeah.
you said it to me once,
Yeah.
which was, nobody thinks it's a mess when they're building their own house. But when the neighbor's building their house, it's a little bit, so it's always good, even for the builders, whatever, go introduce yourself to the neighbors, let them know what you're doing, what your plans are, and all that stuff. And I think in one particular case, it actually turned into some concrete business for one of our.
That's all in the packet too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
where
in
they
there
went
too.
and they said hello and whatever, and next thing you know, they got.
You got work
talking,
out of
they
you.
got extra work out
Yeah.
of it. So yeah, just being mindful of the neighbors. And
Well, thanks for taking the time to come and kind of listen to us
yeah.
go on and on. Thank you,
Thank
Scott.
you. Yeah. Everybody's welcome upstairs.